I'm Johnny Rowland. My production crew is Mr. Al Smokey. And we're so happy that you folks could join us today. You know, typically, Americans love to shoot. And we're going to do some experimental things today to show a little bit about competitive and sport handgun shooting. All right, Al. Zoom in on me a little bit. Get my gun here. What we have is a Smith & Wesson model 586 with a 6-inch barrel. It's a .357 Magnum caliber handgun. We have Hogue grips on the gun. I prefer them on my own handguns, on revolvers especially. We're going to load the revolver. Do you have a close-up of this, Al? We're going to load the revolver by simply placing bullets in each one of the holes in the cylinder, which I had previously prepared by putting in my pocket. Alright, we have 6 in. We're loaded now. Holster the gun, and we always, without exception, when we're down on the range shooting, without exception, we use eye protection, ear protection, and in my case, I'm wearing a pair of ear plugs, and also I'm going to go with a pair of headphones. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to shoot the 3 targets in the center, shoot the metal disc over here beside the far target, and then I'll shoot the small target in the middle in the center. You have me, Al? All right, how much can you get? Can you get the target too? I'll walk over here. All right, you have me and the target? Good. I'm going to start from the surrender position. Get rid of old Levi here. Start from the surrender position with my hands in the air. My assistant over here will give me the cue. I will turn and draw the gun, shoot the 1 target, 2 targets, 3 targets, the metal disc, and come back to the center and go for the small target in the top of the center paper. So let's try this. I'm using a reduced load for practice and for economy in my .357. It's a 158 grain lead bullet over 5.2 grains of Winchester AA 452 powder, and we're using .357 Magnum cases and standard primers. So let's see how this goes. Surrender position. Al, go ahead and give me the signal.
Ready, go!
All right. I will unload the gun. The case is in my hand. I'll put them in my pocket. I'll close the action and holster the pistol. Go ahead and stop it, Al. Let's look, see what we got. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the gun from a surrender position and shoot the metal disc, the center of each target, and the metal disc, and come back and shoot the top small target in the first paper. So let's try that and see what happens. Now I'll start myself. Okay, go ahead and cut it off.
Yeah.
Take it down for
Put your lights over here? Right here.
We're trying to make it as simple a deal as we can.
no problem, but I ain't gonna get the vacuum cleaner and be working while y'all taking my paper. I was doing that a while ago and I decided
Right. Is that gonna be maybe too much? No, we could do that. That's good. Oh yeah. I was saying you might want to beat up even more, or that'll be all right. No, that'll be okay because we're just gonna go primarily for
pull these off.
we'll go to slow
zoom speed. Now, here's your fade button right there. We'll just fade it, watch.
Okay.
All right, we're low.
I'm gonna do it there. You taking? Go ahead and cut it out.
All right, give you a second to get going. And here we are down at Mr. Henry Martin's gun shop down south of Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, Mr. Martin, Henry, my good friend, he is a factory representative for Remington Arms Company, and he also works on all kinds of handguns and long guns. And and we'll start over because I got a frog in my throat. Just let it run. Here we are down at Mr. Henry Martin's gun shop down south of Shreveport. And Henry is regionally known in the whole area as being able to work on all kinds of guns, from handguns to shotguns and rifles. And Henry, let me ask you a simple question. If I came in and told you, said, I want to be a gunsmith, what would your suggestion be on how to go about becoming a gunsmith?
If a young man came in and asked me that, I would tell him if he's got the time to study under me and work to build himself up, then I could teach him. If he hadn't got the time, I would suggest he go to a trade school of his choice, and there's quite a few of them over the United States recommended. And American Rifleman might recommend one that would be higher qualified than another.
Right.
And he could go to that trade school, and basically they would teach him what he needed to know to start working on guns, and then come into a gun shop and be able to help the man rather than pull him down waiting on him to learn enough so he could start paying his way.
Right.
And the man coming out of school would be better qualified than the one that just starting off.
But you're saying if someone came out of the school, the best thing they could do would be to apprentice under someone like yourself.
Definitely. Coming out of the school will not qualify you to take over any gun shop and start running.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest that anybody come out of school take at least 2 years with a gun shop.
Right.
Working under a man, learning the tricks of the trade. In other words.
Right. Well, how does someone go about getting a factory commission like you have, being a factory repair center for a big company like Remington?
Well, it goes back to 1963 when I was an apprentice under a man that owned a gun shop. And when he died, I worked for him 7 years, and when he died, they awarded me the warranty, factory repair. And I've kept it all these years along with it. It goes to the person, the gunsmith himself,
Right.
not the shop. If I went to another shop and went to work, I'd take
You'd still have your license.
my warranty service with me
Right.
if I wanted.
Well, you had mentioned earlier that you work on all kinds of guns, but what's your criteria when a gun leaves here for the customer?
If that gun is unsafe for a customer, when he brings it in to shoot, I'll explain that to him. In case you have one that you want to hang on the wall, Grandpa gave it to you, and I say it's not safe to shoot, I will not fix it unless you will let me disable that gun to where it will not shoot when it leaves you. I won't fool with it. I won't restore it. I won't do nothing to it. The gun has to be safe for the customer before I'll allow it to be worked on in this shop.
So in other words, if a gun was in somebody's house and someone who was not aware of the gun's history, if they walked up to the mantelpiece of whatever got it, it would be a safe gun to handle because it could not fire.
That's right. And we have an agreement, and I get the man to sign it before he leaves here. He takes a copy of his agreement with it, and he should keep it with his gun.
So some guns definitely are better as wall hangers than shooters.
Yeah,
So
right. The older guns that shot black powder is not a good safe gun to work on any way you look at it. The smokeless powder is too strong for them. They're too old. The metal's worn out. It's aged. And I guess you'd say it's like a human being. After a while, you get to where you can't use it.
Right.
You know.
Well, on a Damascus barrel, I know a lot of people have heirlooms that have been handed down, shotguns with Damascus barrels. Have you ever heard of a Damascus barrel blowing up or unwinding?
Yep, sure have. Several times in the past, especially when smokeless powder first started coming out. People would take those old guns because they shot so well, and they'd update their powder and use smokeless powder in them, and they would tear up.
Right.
And you get a gunsmith to work on a Damascus barrel gun, you're going to have to do some tall talking. One, of the reputation just got to hold up.
Right.
I don't work on them.
Right.
I back off of those altogether.
So if someone has an old gun that they have been passed down for several generations, they ought to go to a gunsmith and get it examined.
Exactly.
To be sure it would be safe to shoot.
Anybody comes in here with one to ask me about it like that, I will tell them it don't cost them nothing. I tell them, and I tell them how it should be done. It's not shot or just hung up like it is. And you start restoring one, you never make it look like it did when Grandpa had it anyway.
Right.
So you can hang it on the wall and look at it and say, that's Grandpa's gun. You can leave it that way.
And leave it alone.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about a couple of guns here on your rack. For
All
instance, a minute ago, you said, now this shotgun, you said is not going to be fixed for a while. Well, tell us what it is.
All right, this gun is obsolete as far as Remington is concerned. It's called 1148. This tube in here has been bent so bad, this tube being attached to the receiver. And there's no more of these tubes until you find an old gun that has this tube in it. You can take it out there and put it in this gun.
Right.
And that days may be long before I find one to put in here.
Before you get one.
Yeah, this man will have to wait for his gun until he either runs across another gun or I do that we can put a new tube in there. And there's no new tubes for it.
Right. Well, I imagine that would be a real hard part to make for someone, I'm sure.
I couldn't make it, and maybe a machine shop could, but you'd always stand a chance of putting it in and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be worth it to fool with.
And what it costs, you could get you a new gun for probably what it could cost.
I suggest that anybody that's got a gun like this, that is this much damage done to it, go ahead and discard the gun.
Right.
Or sell it to a gunsmith for parts.
Right.
Those other parts on it can be used.
Right.
And then update yourself to a later model gun. And Remington has an 1187 mount to shoot all the shells, so there you are. You got your gun to shoot them all.
Small commercial for Remington here. Now on this, we have a bolt-action rifle here that we have a real nice scope, looks like, mounted on that. And Henry, why don't you tell us a little bit about this gun here?
All right, this man brought this gun in, and part of my work I do is remodeling these guns. This is a commercial action that somebody built up for a present, and they never did finish it, and the boy got the action.
Right.
And he had me to reblue it, put another stock on it, and then mount his scope.
So, is that a commercial Mauser action? I see it's inner arms
It's
there.
commercial.
Well, how critical are your scope mounts for the way the gun shoots?
Well, if you don't put your scope mounts on right in the first place, well, the gun won't shoot right. And then when you get the mounts on there, they have to be the right mounts, or you haven't got it on right.
Right.
So it's critical to have the right mounts to get your scope to shoot with the barrel of the gun.
Right.
And once they get on there, well, and you get it sighted in, you never have any problems out of a scope mount. That goes for several different companies that makes these scope mounts, and they're all, or as one is concerned, as good as the other. It's just a different type of way to mount on there.
Right. For maybe one type would fit a particular action better, or maybe a different scope better.
Right.
So depending on how you did it. Well, we want to thank Henry very much for letting us come down and visit with him this afternoon, and we hope that we'll learn something from this and make our hunting and certainly gun maintenance times easier in the future. And we do want to mention a word about Henry Martin's gun shop. Henry, go ahead and tell us something here.
All right, these little calendars are stick-on calendars, and I wanted to give y'all one while you're here. And when you're in your automobile, you're riding around, you can see what date it is, and you'll happen to notice real close, you'll see whose name's up there, and then you can recommend me for gun work. I give these things to the law enforcement officers, and you'll find in our area that just about every one of their cars have one of these in it.
A Martin's Gun Shop calendar, and I tell you what, it couldn't come from a certainly nicer person or a nicer place of business. So if any of you folks out there have guns that need repair, certainly you do mail order business, don't you, Henry?
Yeah. Sure.
So you can certainly call Mr. Henry Martin at Martin Gun Shop, area 318-797-1119. And his address is 206K Lane. We've got our phone there. He's busy. He's got his phone ringing in the background. 206K Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71115. And we want to say a word about what? What?
Down the count.
All right, okay. All right, sorry about
Pick
that.
it up. Now, wait, I'll tell you where to hold it.
All right, go
All
ahead.
right, go over and down just a little bit. There. Now let's start over.
And we want to say a word about Henry Martin's Gun Shop here in Shreveport. Henry works on all kinds of handguns and long guns, and can work certainly on older guns that people might have at home that need repair. But he can certainly tell them whether or not they can be serviceable in the future. So Henry's address, of course, is 206K Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71115. And his phone number is area 318-797-1119. Henry, you want to say you do mail order business. Someone can mail you a gun, or they can call you for information. Am I correct?
Right. I'd like for them to call and then talk to me about their gun before they ship it. It might be something that I wouldn't want to have.
Well,
Such as a gun that might not be safe to shoot or something like that. But I work on all of them, bluing, polishing, and nickel plating, and pistol, long guns, and rifles, all kinds.
And Henry is a factory service center for Remington Arms Company. So if you have a Remington, well, Henry is certainly an expert on that. Yeah, sometimes, occasionally. All right. Give just a second to catch up there. Here we are at downtown Shreveport, Louisiana. We're at Britton's Gun Shop and also pawn shop, but primarily a gun shop. And we have Mr. Marty Britton here, who's a good friend of ours. And Marty's going to talk to us a little bit about a family-owned, family-operated gun store. Now, Marty, let me ask you a question. What's the advantage in someone buying from a dealer like yourself rather than from, say, one of the chain stores?
Well, of course, the one thing we hear when we talk to people that shop your discount stores is the price difference. We hadn't found that to be so for the most part. When they run advertised specials and things like that and closeouts, they are cheap. I'll shop there when they're that cheap. But as a general rule, we're not going to be out of line in prices on our guns, our ammunition, or any of our components. We've been here since 1955, and naturally we've developed a certain amount of expertise with our product, and we think that's the big advantage.
Well, I certainly agree, and especially for a first-time buyer or someone who doesn't know a lot about guns, rather than go to a store where it's just an hourly worker working in sporting goods, they can come down here and everybody behind this counter is going to be familiar with guns and will be a shooter himself. And you can advise someone, say a lady comes down and maybe she's worried with the conditions around her home at night and she wants a first gun or something like that. Well, you can actually give her advice rather than giving her maybe a .44 Magnum or a complicated or more complicated semi-automatic pistol, you could start her off in something that would be a lot simpler for her to operate. Is that correct?
Yeah, we try to simplify things for them. They get a lot of bad information from different people, well-meaning people, but they have an experience maybe with one or two different types of guns where, you know, we've naturally sold all types over the years. We try not to undersell and or definitely not oversell them.
Right.
You might be working with people that have a fixed budget. That's a consideration. Different capabilities, different talents, different levels of experience. And we can determine from just talking to them generally what they can do and not do.
Well, and plus, if someone has a problem with their gun, rather than send it off to somewhere way off another part of the country and wait a couple of months, most of the time you can take care of the problem yourself in your own shop here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We keep a gunsmith in the store. Mr. Rabb does our work for us. What we can do that won't affect your factory warranty, we will do. That's part of our sales service with our sales. When we sell you any type of handgun or any merchandise for that matter, but handguns primarily is what we're talking about. I mean, firearms, what we're talking about today. It's satisfaction guarantee. If it's got a problem, we'll repair it, replace it if that's what it takes, or refund your money.
Well, plus, a place like this is interesting to come down to. Besides being a gun shop, they're also a pawn shop, and you find articles of all persuasions and some really interesting and unique things. And plus, occasionally you find a really nice deal on an old gun there in the counter, which yours truly has. I'm very proud to have taken advantage of a time or two.
We could use a few more like you.
Well, and you'll see behind us here we have all kinds of gunpowder and bullets for reloading, and they're pretty much a complete store as far as shooting goes. So we'll be doing other things like this in the future, visiting with some other folks, but Marty and his family have always been very courteous to us and been very helpful many times when I've had a problem or in finding a gun. So at this point, we'll probably fade out to black, and we'll just kind of go on out on that. And that's nice. We'd like to say a short word about Britain's Gun Shop here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Marty, why don't you tell us where you are and what your phone number is, where you're located?
We're on 517 Louisiana, downtown Shreveport. Our phone is 221-4131. We've been here since 1955. Hours are from 8 to 5:30, 6 days a week. That work?
That'll work.
How about?
And I'll tell you when to quit. And come in. You can come on in close if you want to. Put it on slow. Pretty well?
Yeah.
You can come on up closer if you want to.
Can we get your whole body though?
That's not really necessary at this point. Is the camera pretty square? It look good with you. The picture looks square?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, here we are down on our range this afternoon, and what we're going to do, we're going to have some fun. And that's what our program is all about, is to show how shooting can be fun. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put on my safety glasses, impact resistant safety glasses, and I've got hearing protection here, which I'll put on in a minute. We're going to shoot your basic old Smith & Wesson 586 with a 6-inch barrel. So let's load the gun. First we take the cylinder out like so. And this is a Safariland speed loader, and all you have to do is put a couple of the bullets, line up a couple of the holes, and press, and that jewel is loaded. We'll holster our gun, and we're going to turn around and we're going to shoot some targets. So we'll do that in just a second. Okay, good. It should be loose where you can just turn it. Huh? What? Okay, I've got my earplugs in, so I can hear. Okay, go ahead and turn it on. You know, shooting can be so much fun, and you don't have to have a whole lot of investment to set yourself up a range. Of course, we teach firearms training to a number of different people out here on our place, but that's not important. What we have over here is the 3 targets sitting up were made from scrap lumber, and I just took some cardboard, and they make real nice targets that are easy to fix and certainly adequate for the purpose served. And if we happen to shoot a target frame down, it's no trouble to fix it back up again. And the disc we have, since we have a farm out in the country, these discs are just spray painted disc off a disc plow. So it's very inexpensive, and spray paint at your local discount store about $1 a can, and suddenly you've got a real nice range that you can use for fun and instruction. So let's shoot the gun a little bit. What I'm shooting is a target type load. It's a 158 grain cast lead bullet in a .357 Magnum case, but I've only got 5.2 grains of Winchester 452 AA powder. So what it does, it comes out of the 6.6 barrel gun at about 850 to 900 feet a second. It's extremely accurate and serves our purpose. It doesn't make a whole lot of noise, and it's real cheap to reload. Since I hand load my own cartridges, they cost about 6 cents a piece, and that beats the heck out of buying factory ammunition at about $21 a box. So let's shoot the gun a little. And once again, I want to remind everyone, we use safety glasses every time we shoot out for recreational purposes. And here we are down on our range in our pasture. It's a beautiful afternoon in January. We have unseasonably warm temperatures, but it's a perfect day for what we're going to do. And one of the things we're out here doing is to show that shooting can be fun. What we have in the background, we have some yellow steel targets we're going to shoot, and we have 3 paper targets we're going to shoot. Now the steel is just very simply, I made it from steel plows, from a disc plow that and I'll just keep rolling. Part 2. 3, 2, 1. And here we are down on our range this afternoon on a beautiful January afternoon. It's about 75 degrees, and even here in Louisiana that's a little bit unusual, but it's a perfect time to do what we're going to do. Now the reason we're here is we want to show how shooting can be both instructional and fun, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little fun. In the background we have some targets set up. We have 6 yellow steel targets and 3 paper targets, and I want to show that you don't have to have a lot of money invested to make a nice shooting range if you have a space available. On the paper targets, I simply made those from scrap lumber and pieces of cardboard, and especially scrap lumber because if I shoot down the frames, it's easy to remake them. And the yellow steel targets are disc off a disc plow that are no longer useful and were just laying around, and a can of spray paint from your local discount store, and suddenly you have steel targets to shoot. Now when we shoot steel targets, we always wear safety glasses. We always wear safety glasses whenever shooting, but it's especially critical on steel because there's always a chance of a lead bullet bouncing back. Now it won't come very fast, but you certainly wouldn't want to get it in your eye. So let's shoot a little bit, have some fun. So we're going to put our shooting glasses on, plastic impact resistant glasses, and I use a set of ear plugs along with a set of external ear protectors or ear muffs. So it makes it just a little bit, gives you a little greater protection, and certainly we only get one chance at ears and eyes, so we want to protect them both. What we're going to shoot today, this is a Smith & Wesson model 586 .357 Magnum handgun with a 6-inch barrel, And you'll notice I've opened the cylinder. It's unloaded, and these are Safariland speed loaders. And what we have are 357 Magnum cases with a 158 grain cast lead bullet over 5.2 grains of Winchester AA 452 powder, and it's a nice recreational load. It's not too loud. You get a velocity of about 950 feet a second out of this gun, so you don't tear up the targets, and it's easy on your hands, and they're fun to shoot, and they're real cheap to make. I reload my own ammunition, and these cost about 6 cents a piece to reload, so that beats the heck out of $22 a box or so for factory ammunition. So we'll place it in the cylinder, line up 2 of the holes, and press, and it's loaded. Is a Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum, a basic 5.86 revolver with a 6-inch barrel. And we're going to shoot some of my hand loads, which is a 158 grain cast lead bullet in a 357 Magnum case over 5.2 grains of Winchester 452 AA powder. It makes a real nice target load and recreational load because it's very inexpensive to shoot, it doesn't make a lot of noise, and it's easy on recoil. So what we do, this is a Safariland speed loader, and we're going to place the speed loader over the cylinder, which I've already opened, line up a couple of the holes, and push, and we're loaded. So let's go down here and shoot just a little bit and have some fun. Okay. All right, this is something we would do sometimes in training, sometimes to hone our skills, sometimes just for fun. So from the surrender position, and I'll get a start count here in a moment, and I'll go and shoot the 6 steel discs. And this is a good practice drill. It's good for overall handgun skills, and plus it's a lot of fun. So let's do that right quick. See how good I am today. Surrender position. Ready? Go for the center target. Me and the target.
Yeah.
And just for fun, target shooting. We're about, are we on now? All right. We're about 20 yards away, and I'm going to shoot at the target on the left. I have a large circle in the center and 2 smaller circles on the top right and the lower left. So just for fun, let's see if I can hit each one of those circles on 3 shots. I believe so. Now, wasn't that fun? Is we're going to put a okay. I've reloaded the gun, and now I'm going to place 1 shot each into each of the 3 circles on the 2 targets, the one in the middle and the one on the right. One reason I like a revolver is it doesn't throw your brass all around. You don't have to go around hunting for it. So anyway, I just happen to like revolvers. I also like automatics. We'll shoot them another time. But today, let's and I can break right there. know what the heck. Can't always hit. That's part of the challenge is even something as easy as this, you don't always do perfect. Of course, I think my sights are off. I think that's what it is. My sights are definitely off. Cut. How we doing? Now, can you zoom in on the target in the middle? Okay. Can you get to see me? Or just the holes, right? Are we on?
Yeah.
And now we're going to do one of the most fun things that I know of involved in shooting. This is a 50 caliber Hawken recreation. This one happens to be made by Thompson Center, but there are other very fine guns made by CVA and Navy Arms and others. This is just the one I happen to have. This is an extremely accurate, very powerful gun that used to be used on the frontier. It's simply made, it's very, has great strength, and it's a whole heck of a lot of fun to shoot. Now what we're going to do to load this gun, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some percussion caps, which I have in this little package here. This is your basic number 11 size, and we're going to dry out the bore, and I do have earplugs in and safety glasses on. We're going to dry our bore out because this one has been in the house and it has some oil and preservative inside the bore. So the first thing we do is dry our bore out. We're certainly pulling away from everything. Pull the set trigger and take a pop. All right, and we'll do this.
I didn't get that on camera. You moved out of the way.
Okay. I got that black powder over there. It makes me nervous. All right. Let's get another one. We're only going to shoot it about twice. Okay. We can start again on this. .100 grains, buffalo bullet. We're about to do one of the most fun things that I know of in shooting. This is a 50 caliber Hawken recreation. This one happens to be made by Thompson Center, but there are other guns very much like this made by CVA and Navy Arms and others, and they're a whole heck of a lot of fun to shoot. We get a flavor of what the shooting used to be like in the Old West, and and once more again, we'll start over. Take 3. This is a take. We're on.
Yeah.
We're about to do one of the most fun things that I know of in shooting, and that is to shoot a black powder recreation. This happens to be a 50 caliber Thompson Center Hawken copy, and this is a very colorful gun to shoot and also to clean afterwards. But it's very effective on game. A lot of states now are having black powder hunting seasons, so let's go about shooting this old jewel here. Now I've already placed some percussion caps on the nipple and already fired them to dry out the bore, because this gun's been in our living room and it's had oil and preservative in the barrel. That's the first thing we do. The next thing we do is I'll put the gun down right here in a safe position where it can't fall over. I have it braced here. And this is a powder flask, just like Davy Crockett used, or maybe something like, and this is a powder measure. Now you'll notice I have the powder in this flask rather than the can over there, because it's just a lot safer to deal with. Black powder is not as stable as smokeless powder, and you deal with it in preferably small amounts. I have the powder measure adjusted here for about 100 grains. So let's fill up the powder measure. Like so. Of course you got to spill a little bit. Wouldn't be fun if you couldn't make a mess. All right, we're going to pour the powder down the barrel of the gun. We're going to take a 50 caliber. This happens to be a buffalo bullet. It's sort of a mini type bullet. It has an open base in it. We're going to start it down the barrel. I'll start it with my thumb. Then I'll take this little jewel right here, which is a starter, and start the ball down the barrel and push it on in. And now I'll take my ramrod and I'll finish seating the bullet all the way down on the powder. Now, one thing we never do, and that is put a cap on before we put the powder in the barrel. Finish with the powder and bullet before we ever put the cap on. Because if this thing went off in your face, well, it wouldn't be much left. We'll take the cap, and I'll ease the gun back on half cock, and I will gently lower the hammer and put it on safe. Now let me set the gun down right there where it's safe and can't fall over. We have it braced here. Now let's turn to our target. All right, now what we have a couple of 1-gallon water jugs over across the stream there, and shooting a water jug with any sort of gun proves absolutely nothing, but at least you know where your bullet struck. It's fun to do. All right, go ahead and cut.
Yeah.
Great fun, great fun. I love it, I love it. All right, we're out. We're not gonna worry about that. You're gonna get me in the gun.
Okay.
We'll back it up pretty well. Ready?
Ready.
Huh?
Yeah.
All right, turn it. We're on.
Yeah.
Great fun. Great fun. 3, 2, 1, we're on. Today we're going to look at another revolver. We shot the Smith & Wesson 586 357 Magnum in an earlier piece, and this is the original 44 Magnum. This is a Smith & Wesson Model 29 with an 8 3/8 inch barrel in 44 Magnum. And this is a very, very fine handgun. However, it probably wouldn't be a good first gun for someone who has not owned a gun before or has been shooting a 22 or something much smaller. Although, for someone who can handle it, it's a very, very fine handgun. It has ballistics out of this barrel with a full load of about 1,400 feet per second with a 240 grain bullet, and is very effective. It can be an effective hunting handgun up to around 100 yards. And these guns will do some pretty spectacular shooting if the person behind it knows his stuff pretty well. Well, just to show you and give you an idea of the power of this gun concerning recoil, we're going to shoot this and watch my hands as the gun fires. And I'm a pretty big old boy, and I like to think pretty strong. But even for someone like myself who's an experienced shooter, it's still a bunch of handguns. now we're going to shoot the 44 Magnum. Again, safety glasses and a good set of headphone type earmuffs, and in this case I also use some earplugs. So let's watch the 44 Magnum shoot. And since we've been talking about the 44 Magnum handgun, let's mention the 44 Magnum carbine or rifle. A lot of people enjoy having a rifle or carbine in the same caliber as their favorite hunting handgun. In this case, it's a Winchester Model 94 and 44 Magnum, and the advantage you get, one, is a longer sight radius, and certainly the support by the stock against your shoulder, but you also get a dramatic increase in velocity and in muzzle energy. Now this little gun will easily shoot into a 2-inch group at 50 yards, and it's very effective on light game up through and including deer, and it's really a pleasant little gun to shoot and to carry along with you. Another kind of handgun that is today becoming more and more common is the semi-automatic pistol. This is a Taurus AF, 321. Another type of handgun I'd like to talk about is the semi-automatic pistol. This is a fairly typical gun right here. It's a Taurus PT99. It's a 9mm semi-automatic. It holds a magazine full of up to 15 rounds. Some handguns like the Glock and others hold a couple more. Some, like the compact models, hold a couple less. But this is a fairly representative model of your average 9mm handgun. And the reasons for a 9mm handgun in law enforcement okay, let's do it again. 3, 2, 1. Another type of handgun I'd like to talk about is the semi-automatic, in this case a high-capacity semi-automatic in 9mm. This is a Taurus PT99. It's a very, very fine gun. It's built on the Beretta pattern, and we're seeing more and more of these among police officers and for civilians. One reason that people like a 9mm, one is you have a magazine full of up to 15 rounds. In some guns like the Glock you have a couple of more rounds, in others a couple less, but you have a lot of firepower. Another desirable quality of the 9mm cartridge is it's between a 38 Special and a 357 Magnum in power. It's not quite as intimidating to a lot of police officers who are recoil sensitive. It is also a very fine round for a woman to shoot if she can manipulate the semi-automatic pistol comfortably, because your level of recoil is not nearly as great as on something like, say, a 357 Magnum handgun. So we're going to shoot this and give you an idea of just what we're talking about. going to load the handgun. This is, of course, is the magazine. It's not a clip, it's a magazine. Insert it into the butt of the gun and be sure it's flush with the bottom of the grip. The next thing we'll do, push the safety off, pull the slide back, and let it go. Don't let it ease forward. Let it go. And the gun is loaded and ready to fire. Put our safety equipment on here. Let's shoot the handgun. Now then, let's shoot the automatic pistol that we've just been talking about. So to load the gun, we insert the magazine in the base of the grip, give it a good slap home, take the safety off in this particular model, pull the slide back all the way, and let it go. Now it's ready to shoot. Earmuffs on, safety glasses on. Always remember, I forgot to mention it, always remember, after shooting your last shot with semi-automatic handgun, if you have a manual safety, like this one does, the first thing we do is take our finger off the trigger and apply the safety. Very, very important. Now let the hammer down on this particular model, point the gun in the safe direction, place our thumb over the hammer, pull back slightly, right? Squeeze the trigger and lower the hammer gently while releasing the trigger. And then we'll put the safety on. Take three. So now let's shoot the Taurus 9mm pistol. First we're going to begin by loading it. We insert the magazine in the base, give it a good slap, be sure it seats fully. Put the safety off, pull the slide back, and let it go. Don't release it easy, let it go. I put my thumb over the hammer and pull it.
Make it be alright? Got something to lay it down on?
What? What are you going to do?
He's got one of these. Takes two hands to put it back in there.
Problem. We put it on there.
I think a good run would be about 30 seconds.
If you drop your shell in there.
Where are you going? You need that.
Drop your shell check and then put it in the bottom.
Yeah, that's the way you're supposed to load it.
Drop it in the.
Drop it, close it, and then
Feed it.
feed it. That way,
I thought you didn't feed it, you just dropped it
yeah.
in.
You see, it's, the action's open. You can't.
Oh, you
Right, you throw it in there, close it, and that gives you one in the chamber. That way you don't have to shuck it again. And then you load in there. All right. Good time. What it is.
I'm Tab Can. I want to welcome you to Chico Gun Club today in southeast Caddo Parish. We're going to shoot our first ever 3-gun match down here, and you're going to see some of the better practical shooters in the area compete with a rifle, handgun, and shotgun. We hope that it's going to combine the things we want to stress in shooting most, which is handgun safety through proficiency and extensive training.
reading everybody over this a little bit later.
I don't know if I want to do this. Can I back out?
Not now. You paid your money.
Wind's blowing good now. Let's do it.
Woo, yeah. Shooter ready? Stand by. Stand by. Get off of it.
Right.
Okay, this is a rifle shoot at balloons at 100 yards.
2 minutes.
Yeah, in other words, you get 2 minutes. I never shot balloons. Maximum. And if that comes up before you hit the last balloon.
Tell you what I might do. I might pull that
SWAT team.
What? Navy
Yeah, he said we could use them.
Sure y'all can.
Him and Frank, boy, between their 2 trucks, we just got all kinds of goodies. Look at those balloons, man.
Oh, balloon, blow.
Oh,
Shooter ready? Take your time.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Shooter's ready. Stand by. All right. Good shoot. 1172.
Ah,
Come on,
you
bro.
can see
You
them
wanna ride
explode in
that
the
with-
scope. It's neat.
Stand by.
I had a lot of jerks in that round.
13, 13. 13, 22. It's a neat little gun. We'll let you know. For a cheap gun, that's pretty nice. It's that Walmart gun, isn't it?
So what, John? What are we supposed to do? Just tell you when I'm ready?
Yeah, tell you when you're ready, we'll start the clock. The rest is history.
Okay, I guess I can beep that thing, see if I can hear it.
I can tap you on your shoulder.
Right.
The hell was that?
Frank started shooting.
I thought it started shooting.
Frank, you ready?
Yeah.
Shooter's ready. Stand by. All right.
One of them blew when he hit the other one.
I like that.
What? Oh, that's what.
You blew
All right.
the third one.
984.
The fourth one when you
Well,
hit
how
the
big a
third
penalty does he get for that?
one. Nothing,
man?
it just counts a run.
Did I hit the first? Did
Yeah,
I hit the
if the
balloon
second
on the
one and the
left?
fourth one went.